Hello, my name is Jamie, and today I am doing a book review on Christianity and Humanism by Dale, I want to say Jorgenson. Jorgenson sounds wrong, so I think it's Jorgenson. Anyway, I was a bit nervous when I picked up this book. I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't know if it was conservative or if it would lean more towards the humanism side or the secular side, but I was pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed it. Pretty much, I just want to give you a quick overview. It talks about humanism throughout the ages. So classic humanism, Renaissance humanism, modern humanism, and how they all relate to Christianity or the Bible's view of man. How the Bible defines man and how the Bible defines who man should be or what man should be. It was very interesting. It is not a long book. It is only 102 pages, but a lot of information is crammed in here. Before I read this book, I didn't really know how to define humanism. I know it was kind of along the lines of man himself is sufficient and kind of the glorification of man without God. Dale, I'm just going to call him Dale because I'm not sure about his last name. But Dale made the claim that although a lot of humanism is secular, there are some parts of humanism that pulled from biblical man, the biblical view of man. But there is also a lot of parts of humanism that we as Christians need to reject that don't fall in line with the biblical view of man. Some of the people he talked about at the beginning when he was talking through classical humanism, he went over what Homer said about man in the Odyssey and the Iliad. He talked about humanism and Plato, what Plato thought of man and man's purpose in the world. And also Socrates. They kind of go hand in hand because Socrates was Plato's teacher. He talked about humanism in Aristotle's teachings, what Aristotle thought of man and man's purpose in the world. He talked about Stoic and Epicurean humanism. And that was just in chapter 1. That was classic humanism. He jumped into Renaissance humanism, which was further along in history than classic, dating within the medieval era. And he differentiated between the Renaissance itself and Renaissance humanism, how the Renaissance affected the humanism of that time. And I'll be honest, in these first two chapters, when he's talking about classic and Renaissance humanism and quoting all these old authors, it was a little bit hard for me to wrap my mind around their teachings and their thoughts, just because I did not know a lot about humanism before reading this book. So listening to what all these people think on the purpose of man was very interesting, but it did require a lot of left brain thinking because when you're reading quotes from older authors or older writers, they just kind of talked differently than we do now. And you need to slow down a little bit, or I do. I need to slow down a little bit when I'm reading their writing so I can really grasp what they were saying. It did not take away from this book at all. It's just, I want to tell you that it does require a little bit more thinking than just breezing through the passages. Maybe it's different for you when I'm reading older writings, especially philosophy and older thinkers. I do need to slow down a bit and digest what I'm reading because it just makes you think. You think about other things that you don't normally think about. Chapter 3 went into 20th century, so modern humanism. People questioned our being. Why are we here? There's a huge emphasis on knowledge in modern humanism. He talks about where our values come from and how modern humanism answers that question. And then after defining modern humanism, he goes into the problems of naturalistic humanism, which is kind of the same as modern humanism. There are different sections of humanism or schools of thought. These people that believe in these might not say that it's part of humanism, but it kind of is because it deals with different aspects of our humanity. One of them is behaviorism. Another is existentialism. And what I found really interesting is something called technocracy, This is a new term for me, but right when I saw it, I knew what it was talking about, and it's the technology age. What technocracy is when we as humans, we created technology, but then technology kind of takes over. It's no longer serving us, but we are not serving it, but kind of worshiping it, in that it's consuming us. We can't get away from it. We use it for everything, even when we don't need to. So we created this thing, technology, but now it is taking over our lives. And you can definitely see that today. This book was written back in 1983. And now, in 2026, this is true more than ever, to an even greater extent than when this book was written. Technology is crazy all over the place. Now we have AI coming out with all these videos and images, and AI is getting so good that it's hard to tell what is true anymore. And even if you show someone a real image and they don't want to believe it, they'll just pass it off as AI. So not only has this technology made it harder to see and believe the truth, but it has given an out for people who don't want to believe the truth. Oh, it's AI. That's not real, that's AI. And it is so frustrating. But this part of the chapter, I immediately knew what he was talking about, because it's happening right now. Back in 1983, it was a problem. Even more so now in 2026. He ends his book with the Christian image of man. So he talked about all these different philosophies and views of humans and how they should be and what they are and what is the highest form of man. And then he ends the book with the Christian image of man. What are we supposed to be? And it all comes down to our purpose and our value is in Christ. What we have and what we are able to do comes from him. And if we use it aside from him, then we're not going to be all that we are supposed to be. I really like that he ended the book on that note. We are the pinnacle and the epitome of God's creation, but outside of God and his purpose for us, we can do so much damage. Our purpose lies with him, and we need to be obedient to his will for our lives. And that is how we become the highest that we can be, because we are following his will and his purpose for our lives. When we know why we were created, then we're going to be all that we are supposed to be. Be all that you can be. Am I dating myself? If you know what that's from, leave it in the comments. I really liked this book. I enjoyed it. I'm one for reading left-brained books. They're always a challenge, and they always get me thinking thoughts that I previously probably wouldn't think on my own. Just because I don't sit around a lot of times just thinking. My husband tells me I should, and I believe him. I should just think and consider the world and the Bible and how they fit together. So part of the way that I do that is to read these books that stretch my thinking and get me to consider things that I haven't considered before. So highly recommend this book. I enjoyed it. I think you will too if you enjoy this type of left brain talk. As far as reading level, I would say adult. There might be some high schoolers that this would be interesting for if they're interested in past philosophies and modern philosophy and how it goes in line with Christianity and what are we supposed to do with these ways of thinking. That's interesting stuff. So if you're interested in it and you're only in high school, I say go for it. Try it. And you know, if you don't understand a lot of it, you can always keep the book and read it down the line when you're a little bit older. Who knows? But it was really good. I do highly recommend it. If you have any questions about this book, please leave them down in the comment section below. If you like this content and want to see more of it, please like the video, subscribe to this channel, and I will talk to you in our next one. Goodbye.